Hello everyone. So from time to time I get questions what I think about 2022 Scott Spark model, full suspension bike from Scott. And the thing is, I always suggest to look somewhere else for opinions, because in order to provide credible and not subjective insight about the, in this case, full suspension model bike, you should have been ridden at least, I think, 3 full suspension bikes in the past in order to have something to compare them with. And in my case, it's not the case. It's the first fully I have. So if I would share with you my opinions, it would be exactly the same as everyone says. Geometry, a lot of travel, etc. So everyone does that. Then I decided to share with you what I noticed throughout those 3,000 kilometers on the bike. Some flaws, some suggestions, and some overall notices through that distance. So if this information is interesting for you, stick with it and I will share with you what I noticed. Alright, so first things first, it's an RC Pro model. I would say it has some modifications. First of all, I changed the handlebars to -20 degrees and increased stem distance. Originally it was -9 and 7 centimeters of stem, and this one is -20 and 10 centimeters of stem. The reason why I did this is because originally L size frame is a bit small for my height. I'm 184, 85, something around that. So that means the distance between the handlebars and the seat was a bit too small for me. So I felt like the handlebars are too close to the body. So that's improvement I made in order to achieve that increased distance. Of course, I lost a bit of handling, but I feel that it was a good addition to the overall bike because now it feels better to sit on it. I wish only handlebars would have been changed, but I also changed the rims. It's Scope's off-road model on both front and end. Originally the bike comes with race face cranks, which are carbon ones, and I used them for quite a while, but eventually I noticed that the bearings of bottom bracket come out loose and I had to change them. Unfortunately, I was not able to get bottom bracket in a timely manner, so I had to change it from the hardtail. It's XT stages double-sided power meters. So I was coming to the race and had to do something about it. So that was the swap I did, and actually it offered me 50 grams of weight savings. So that's how Garmin XC 200s are heavy as hell. And I could also share a bit more about those, but that's probably for a different topic. This stages cranks are great addition for this bike. I have not XTR cassette, but Garbaruk. Just for testing purposes, I purchased one to see whether it would be able to last longer. This year I had a lot of Mudfest races, so components of the bike suffered significantly. That's the reason why I already had to change the cassette. I'm somewhat around 3,000 kilometers on this bike. Of course, you can see some stickers which I added, which represents what I do, and that's kind of it. But it's not adding any benefits for my faster riding, unfortunately. Well, maybe sometimes once I see Tom 10, I start riding faster. Unlikely. The reason why I chosen this specific model RC Pro is because you could have a dropper, and I love a dropper very much, even on not very steep uphills or downhills. I use it quite significantly. It has only 2 positions, so it's Fox transfer. Of 2022, I guess, and it's a very neat addition. So whenever you are planning to go in the mountains, having a dropper is a must. So that was kind of yet another reason why I chose an RC Pro. That way I would not need to spend that energy of trying to sell the parts which I don't need. So I will share a few of things which I noticed on the bike, and some will be my suggestions, other just an insight, and that would kind of it. To begin with, we will start with handlebars and cable routing. So you can see that it's neatly hidden under the stem, and it indeed looks nice. However, with handlebars you get some stickers which kind of works for the purpose of cable routing. They should be attached somewhere here, and then cables with zip ties connects to that. However, it doesn't work actually the way it should be, because that double-sided adhesive tape comes loose, and that way it just strips out the cables, and they are no longer hidden under a stem. Solution: this is the simplest one. I'm not sure you will be able to see it, but it's just single zip tie connected with one side and the other. As you can see, it's hidden perfectly. It works ideally, and I would strongly recommend to use this solution instead of adding those stickers with plastic. They look neat, but especially if you're attaching the bib number for the race, you are going to strap it out sooner or later. So this is my way of doing those cable routing under a stem, and it works brilliantly. We will be moving from front of the bike towards the back, and I will cover all the insights I managed to spot. One other thing I haven't mentioned yet about the handlebars is that it has integrated Garmin holder. Of course, it costs like 70 euros or so, but I purchased a version which includes also a, so you can see that that way I could connect not only Garmin but the GoPro as well. So that's a neat thing to do, especially when you are in UCI race, which does not allow to have a camera on your chesty. That's a nice thing to do, and especially if you want to connect with casual Garmin mount. These handlebars are not straight, and it just looks not centered, and overall I hate that. So that's the reason why I use this. In case if you are like me and you are using elite bottles or elite cages, you should be aware that whenever you choose the cage, you should take a look whether it fits in this part of the bike. So the front bottle cage holder, if it's too close to the body, to the frame, it's going to create some sound. So for that case, I added washers here. They from rubber, so that way I make sure that it does not able to move, and at the same time doesn't reach to the frame and doesn't scratch it. So when choosing bottle cages, make sure to either measure the width here, or just once purchased, have a look whether it doesn't scratch your beloved frame. Whether you would believe it or not, manufacturers sometimes also makes mistakes, and I believe this is one of those where they haven't thought about. So at least in 2022 model, this area is scratching a lot. because the mud gets under this cover, and at the moment the leg moves here and the whole part scratches that bottom. Initially I added a sticker here as I noticed the issue, but it eventually turned out to be not enough, so I added a new sticker here. It's actually after stats one, the same as this. Then I added protective tape here, and that seems to do the job pretty well. So if you don't want to scratch your frame, make sure, especially on the new bike, it would be perfect to apply it here, just some protective tape, and you will be good to go. I'm not sure whether it's a failure from manufacturer, or maybe I don't know something, or maybe something else, but whenever you want to change the brake pads, you have to remove the rear caliper. It applies only for rear. It's because I'm not sure how well it will be visible, but this bolt, which kind of fits the brake pads, is impossible to be removed because of the frame. So it just hits the frame. You could try to loosen only one bolt, but usually it's not enough to remove it. So maybe you could just include a casual non-bolt, but just that metal piece which splits in the end. But I noticed that it makes some sounds, and it's not an option. So whenever you have to change the brake pad, make sure to save some sanity, because you will have to readjust the caliper. It's not going to be very fast process, at least few minutes longer than casual, and that's for sure. Thomas says, Thomas knows. Why? Because he already did it multiple times. And in case you like this type of content, you can subscribe to my channel, and chances are high that we will meet again here. At least on my bike, this part becomes very loose. Oops. So it's a nice addition that they added hex also on this end cap of the axle. However, if not added the tape, so here we can see I added some tape here in order not to make sounds as it goes, but if I don't add it, then it knocks a lot. Oops. Especially on the roads which are bouncy, so it makes noise. If you have some noise, it doesn't necessarily will be from your suspension, it definitely can be this body, so check it out. Some have some problems with this cover, so it's just a suspension doors. I'm not going to open them now, but be aware that from time to time you have to open those doors. It just simply turns here on one side and you just pop it open. What you have to do when you do that, and why I mentioned that you have to do it from time to time, is in order to clean those, because even though it kind of closes ideally, some dust gets into that area, and maybe from time, if you are not going to clean it, it can pop open. So make sure not to make some problems for yourself, and just clean it and forget it. That's how I stand the bike in the forest. The bike originally comes with 32 teeth chainring, so I usually ride with 34 or 36. Unless I'm going to the mountains, then I choose 32. But other than that, 34 is my preference. And I also forgot to mention that I use ovals. I just love the way how they feel, and I would also recommend you, if you haven't tried it yet, at least give it a try for once. Unfortunately, I would say that chances are high you are not going to return to casual ones, but as you know, there are a lot of talks about that, and everyone has their own preference. One other thing I noticed is that There are some noise out of suspension, so because this is the first full suspension bike I have, and because it has hidden rear shock in the body, so that means there are some suspension decisions and solutions made which I am completely not aware of, and there are not a lot of information even on YouTube. So because of that, I would also recommend you to always check the torque of the upper and lower part of suspension. So this one is all good. If you are going to try to torque them from this side, then it's a normal direction. If you are going to do it from that side, is an opposite one. So make sure not to screw it up, but checking this from time to time is really good way to make sure everything works. The lower part has some interesting solution here. So if you want to do something with it, first you have to open loose this bolt, so it's just a normal counterclockwise opposite direction, and once you do that, it will pop open retention bolt, and then this one has to be rotated in an opposite direction. So if you want to tighten it, you have to go it anti-clockwise, so counterclockwise. And if you want to loosen it, you're going to do it clockwise. So this is important one because this part caused me a lot of noise, and I already changed the bearings of the bottom part. So keep that in mind if you're going to break this apart. Of course, you'll figure it out on your own, but if someone would have told me that, I would be appreciated. Yeah, you can see that I added stickers here is because then I record from the chassis. Nice to have it here instead of a casual frame. And one other thing I would be suggesting you to do, this part which covers the stem becomes loose very easily. So you can see that I just popped it open with one hand with no issues. So for that reason I added double adhesive tape here, double-sided, and then I apply it. It not only goes into its place where it has to be, but it also sticks here. You can see that it's my symbol, Tom 10. So it's just 10 from the opposite side. How cool is that? I guess no one noticed that. And here, just a GoPro mount, because I ridden with it moments ago. So those were kind of my suggestions where to look at if you already have a bike, because it's not going to be a decision affecting video. You already made a decision, or you already have a bike, and that's just some suggestions. Whoopsie, I made a wrong move, I guess. So why I decided to create this video is because I do bike maintenance on my own. I love to explore the new things, and sometimes there are things which you are not able to find, and very much hopefully I think that some of those mentions here will be the ones which are very simple, but at the same time not every time simple things are easy to figure out on your own. So the good thing about riding such unexplored roads, you have to train your skills on the bike. Balancing, going on low speed, on obstacles, it's all good. The bad thing is that your bike suffers even more than you do. So you have to do the bike maintenance on your own. That's how it goes. So that's it. Thanks for the time, and I hope to see you around. Hopefully not on the broken spokes video. Oops. Cheers and bye.